Hello. In this short video, I want to walk through some of the new features that have been added in the 0.2.0 release of the Chocolatey GUI license extension. Let's go ahead and jump in, and I'm going to run Chocolatey GUI here. And I've already got the latest version of Chocolatey GUI and the Chocolatey GUI license extension installed. So if I go over to the settings here and I scroll down, then there are two new settings that I want to illustrate. The first one is prevent all package icon downloads and the hide all remote Chocolatey sources. So I'm going to enable both of those settings, and then I'm going to come out of Chocolatey GUI and I'm going to have to close it, and I'm going to have to reopen it for those settings to take effect. But once they do, the first thing that you'll see is that Chocolatey GUI will, rather than show the icons for every single package, it's now going to show the default Chocolatey logo. Now, the reason for that is that some folks are using Chocolatey GUI and Chocolatey behind, or rather in a completely air-gapped network with no access to the internet. And in those scenarios, if this setting wasn't enabled, it would show a red X saying that it wasn't able to download the package icon URL. So rather than have that icon being displayed, the option now is to have it show the Chocolatey logo by default. Now, there are some improvements coming down the line at some point where a package icon might actually be embedded into the Chocolatey package. But for now, this is a interim solution that allows displaying a package icon that is Chocolatey rather than the red X that can be confusing for users. So the other thing that's happening on the left-hand side here is that the remote sources that I did have configured, which were my Nexus repository and the Chocolatey license feed, they've now both been completely removed. The reasoning for that is we're essentially showing a read-only view of the packages that are currently installed on the machine. Again, for some folks, depending on their setup, they don't want to provide any options to the user to perform any operations. So they want those sources to be hidden, but still be configured at the machine level. So that's what that setting was all about. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put those settings back off again, because the other thing that I wanted to illustrate was the difference in operation for a non-administrator user using the self-service mode. So if I sign out of here as the administrator who I was in before, and I sign in as a non-administrator user, and if I open up Chocolatey GUI, here. So in a previous version of Chocolatey GUI and the license extension, when using the self-service mode, which is what I'm configured to use here, if I were to attempt the installation of, say, this pack, or attempt the uninstallation of this package, then I would actually get an error because that operation is not allowed. So in the Chocolatey configuration, there's a setting that says these are the commands that are allowed by the user when running in the background service mode. And by default, those operations are upgrade and install. So previously, the uninstall button here would have been enabled, and when the user clicked it, it would have generated an error. So instead now what we've got is that button is disabled, and the tooltip here says this operation is not allowed due to the global setting of the background service allow the background service allowed commands configuration option. Please contact your system administrator. So basically what we're trying to do here is have users fall into what's known as the pit of success, is that operation, they can see that operation could be allowed, but the current configuration doesn't allow that operation to happen. The same thing is true of the pin command. So currently the pin command is not allowed through the background service. So we disable it within Chocolatey GUI as well. So we're basically trying to ensure that the current setup is respected within Chocolatey GUI. And the only other thing that I wanted to mention was the setting of the default source. Now, I won't be able to do that while I'm logged in as the non-administrator user. So let's just jump back into the administrator user. Again, these settings or these configuration options will only work if you have the Chocolatey GUI license extension installed and you have a valid license as well. You need to have the valid license in play and the Chocolatey GUI license extension installed as well. So the final one here is that there's a new configuration setting, which is the default source name. So when you first open up Chocolatey GUI, it will always default to the this PC option. But if you wanted to have when a user opens up Chocolatey GUI, if you wanted them to have the Chocolatey license feed be the default source, then now you can. So coming into the settings screen, then in here I can say Chocolatey licensed. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And I'm going to close this again. So what will happen now is that when I run Chocolatey GUI, it will respect that setting and it will go to that source by default. Rather than loading up to this PC, it will say that that's the source that I want to open when Chocolatey GUI first opens. So those are the features that we have shipped in this 0.2.0 release of Chocolatey GUI. Hopefully, or the Chocolatey GUI license extension. I hope that they are of use to you. If you want to see other features added into the license extension, then definitely feel free to reach out and we can see what we can do. Thank you very much.